stopped. Why, I'm sure you've asked Toyota, why wasn't override, which apparently was common enough to be in other makes of cars, why did they not do override in the Toyota?
Mr. Lenz, the CEO of Toyota announced yesterday that they were putting this override capability on a number.
You betcha.
Pardon me?
You betcha. After loss of life, but since this was not something they had to discover, what would have led a company of such reputation not to include that override when it was already included in other makes of cars?
Well, I'd just be conjecturing on that. Well, I think Mr. Toyota maybe can answer
well,
that.
maybe we do need to ask him, but I must say, Mr. Secretary, unless we can discover why Toyota decided to throw overboard the kinds of safeguards we understand would have been in early Toyotas, we won't be able to make sure they're not doing it. In other words, ultimately, brake overrides, we're going to have to say whether everybody should have brake overrides. And we're going to have to know whether those kinds of things get left out of cars because people are trying to save money, because people are trying to keep up with the competition. We got to know why. That's not a small thing. And it's a matter of some genuine, I think, skepticism and curiosity on the part of all of us. Now, one auto consultant in a recent report said in here, I'm quoting him for you, Mr. Secretary, regardless of the causes of sudden acceleration in Toyota and Lexus vehicles, it is apparent that the automakers' first step should be measures aimed at protecting the public. The implementation of a brake-to-idle override feature across all model lines and years may be a significant step in that direction. Do you think that such features should now be in all automobiles, Mr. Secretary?
You know, I'd rather base that kind of a judgment on good research and a number of things. And I'm not going to. We need to really look at that, Madam Chair. I can't render a judgment on that at the moment.
Mr. Secretary, I wish you'd take a look at it because I think now everybody is going to want to know what is the minimum safety equipment that should be in every automobile sold in the United States. Let me go on to another series of questions. The committee has an email from NHTSA investigators and Toyota from January of this year. There's a reference to an accident that occurred in Texas, and NHTSA's request to download data from the event recorder in that vehicle. From reading this email, it would appear that NHTSA is unable to download this data on its own without Toyota's presence. Is that correct?
We have over 7,600 EDR files in our crash data. The commercial available tool only reads GM, Ford, Chrysler. Toyota has a proprietary EDR, which is the system that only they can read.
Why is it proprietary? Why only they can read it?
There is
if
only
the other,
one.
it's not proprietary for the others. This is what I mean by the culture of secrecy. It's ours, even though these kinds of things are made known by other automakers. We're not going to do it. Would we allow that kind of? Would your agency allow that kind of secrecy on that kind of important matter to continue?
No.
I'm pleased to hear that. Should there be a federal standard there, do you think?
Pardon me?
Should there be a federal standard?
Well, let me get back to you on that.
Very important. We need to know what the standards are.
Right.
What the new standards are, and you recognize, Mr. Secretary, that all these questions are, yes, based on what has happened, but based on going forward, because that was on their watch, now you're on your watch.
Right.
Do you believe that Toyota should make the black box data more easily available to law enforcement and
Yes.
NHTSA. Thank you. According to testimony that we're going to get later, I understand, NHTSA has a standard that allows companies to choose whether to install black boxes in cars and requires that any installed recorder